Today we're going to be talking about USC baseball. USC has been off to their best start in over 30 years, and a large part of this is due to their really excellent pitching staff, carried by Mason Edwards, one of the top pitchers in the nation. And we're going to be really diving in to see what Mason Edwards is doing that makes him so special and why he's dominating hitters today. So we're going to share the screen and go through, starting with his movement profiles. Then we're going to talk about how he's actually doing, looking at his performance numbers. And then we're going to show you how he did it. So we're going to start with what he has, how he's doing, and how he is doing it. All right, so let's dive in and first take a look at those movement numbers. All right, so what you're seeing now is just a printout based off his TrackMan numbers from this season so far in 2026. So when we look at what he's got right now, it's a pretty good fastball, and it's a left-handed fastball. It's a higher release point than typical, so about 6 foot is average. He's almost about 6'6", so it's about a 6'4", 6'5" release point with about 6 feet of extension. But what makes his fastball really unique is right here. He's got an average induced vertical break of 22. So for context, about 15 to 16 is MLB average. So 22 is a ton of movement. So this is a really explosive, high life fastball, we would say. Then looking at this number, the vertical break is -11. So that's a combination of that induced vertical break and velocity to show you how many inches the ball is actually dropping on its way to home plate. So when we look at that number, that's a really good indicator of how much pop it really has. MLB average is again at around -15. So the average major league fastball is dropping 15 inches on its way to home plate. So Edwards' fastball is actually staying up 4 more inches. So that's really good. A -11 is a plus fastball in the big leagues. All right. The secondary pitch is a really big curveball. So it's around 2,500 RPMs and about -9/10 positive. All right. So that means it's breaking to the right. All right. Since most of his stuff is going to be breaking to the left, as he is an arm side lefty. All right. Then his third pitch is a changeup. All right. And the changeup's not an elite profile, but it's still pretty good considering that it's from a high release point above 6 feet. All right. I'm not going to dig into the slider and cutter because I'm going to show you why in just a second. So as we come down, here's our movement plot. And this is why I'm not talking about a slider and a cutter, because he doesn't really have one. So that would be mistagging. So when we're looking at a lot of TrackMan data that's tagged by students, especially students from other schools that don't know his arsenal, they probably don't know that he doesn't have a slider or a cutter. These are probably curveballs he tried to throw that weren't quite as depthy as this. You can see there's a little bit of variation here. This is what his typical shape is, but occasionally he doesn't quite get it and turns into something like that. So, but we can see right here that huge consistent fastball with a changeup that's developing. Really, this is a great plot. All right. So all he is mainly a fastball curveball pitcher with the occasional changeup. That's what we should know about Edwards. All right. Now let's go down here. This is just another way of looking at his movement. So I like this sometimes when we're trying to figure out which side of the plate to go to. He actually gets more ride when he goes to the glove side for him. So he gets a little bit more on top of the ball. It becomes more of that cut ride profile. It's a -6/22 versus on the arm side for him, it's 21/-8. Still a plus profile, but you can see he definitely probably raises his slot a little bit more when he goes to the glove side to get that ball over there. All right. That curveball definitely has a ton of depth on both sides. Is pretty consistent, a little bit more depth actually on the arm side than it does on the glove side. And it gets a little bit sweepier. You can see there's more horizontal break on the right side compared to on the left side of the plate. So probably when he tries to get over to the glove side, drops the slot a bit, tries to swing around a little bit. And that's probably those profiles we saw that are a little bit more sweepy versus the depthier ones. All right. So here's another way of looking at it. We can see a curveball, a fastball, and a changeup. All right. When we talk about vertical separation, that's going to be all these pitches relative to each other. So the fastball off the curveball is about 43 inches of separation. I'm looking at that vertical break number when I talk about that. But think about it this way. If the top and the bottom of the zone are 2 feet apart, about 24 inches then, his fastball and his curveball, vertically speaking, are almost 4 feet apart. So there's a really big difference, a lot of separation right there. That would be 48 inches of separation. He's at 43. And you can see why these were tagged as sliders and cutters, because they weren't as depthy curveballs, right? When we talk about the horizontal separation off the fastball and the curveball, we have 18 inches, which is pretty good, considering the plate is 17 inches. So he could start one on one corner and go to the other, and they would tunnel perfectly. So that's why I kind of like this little pitch setup. When we look at the vertical approach angle down here, we can see it's not quite an elite fastball at the top of the zone. It's still pretty good. It has that plus life, but it's not something that I would say is an elite up in the zone pitch, but he does have an elite down in the zone pitch. So this line represents the bottom of the zone. We're seeing that he gets well below good. So when I mean that, I mean the angle is well below good. Good being about -8 at the bottom of the zone. He's in that -10 range. So it's a really steep angle, making it really hard to hit. And that's why when we're going to flip over to those performance stats, we're going to see that curveball is so good. All right. So that expected vertical approach angle at the top of the zone is just -4.5, not really elite. But when we look at the curveball, it's a -8 at the top of the zone, which means it's pretty darn steep, but -10 at the bottom of the zone. Really good, really steep angle. That changeup, -8 at the bottom of the zone, ideal. That's just where we kind of want it. So great pitch right there. So both those pitches should play. So the curveball and the changeup, I would assume, are going to be his plus secondary pitches with a good lively fastball with some good velo on it. All right. So now let's look at his actual performance numbers. All right. So switch over here, and we're going to start right up across the top. And you would think for someone that is dominating, he'd be in the zone a lot. Actually not. Like, this is the strict TrackMan zone. By my definition, he's only been in the zone 39% of the time. All right. So, but he does have a pretty good first pitch strike rate at 67, an in zone whiff rate at 23. So that's slightly above average. I'd say 20 is average. And then he has a pretty good chase rate, 35%. So he is doing really well out of the zone, which is probably what's helping him a ton. And even when we look in the zone, even though he's not getting whiffs, it is very difficult for hitters to hit him. He has an in-zone ball and play batting average of 0.69 or 0.069. So less than 100. Really elite with a 125 ozone ball and play batting average. Pretty darn elite numbers right there. So let's just break this down really quickly. He's got a fastball he throws 47% of the time, a 23% whiff clip, pretty good. In zone, like we were talking about earlier, how he can't create that elite angle, it's not going to play in the zone as well. So he has only an 11% whiff rate. The curveball, though, that big, huge lefty size, he gets a 42% whiff in zone. That's a plus pitch. And total whiff of 66%. That's incredible. That's an awesome pitch, and probably one of the reasons why he's doing so well. As well with the changeup, when he throws it 11% of the time, it has a 57% whiff. So these two secondary pitches that he's thrown from that higher release point are elite, like really good stuff. So when we come down here, these splits, we can see he actually does better against right-handed hitters when it comes to the overall WOBA than he does the left. Left-handed hitters are batting 0 against him, but he tends to walk them at a little bit higher clip. So he strikes them out and walks them a little bit more than he does the righties, right? So we'll dig into that in a little bit of why I think that's going on. So let's just take a look at what's going on right versus left. The fastball, as we're seeing, is about a 42 batting average. That's incredible. And the curveball is about a 32. For the lefties, hasn't given up a hit yet. That's awesome. He has really great low hard hit rates across the board. Really good. Like that. Now, when we look at the percentages, fastball against righties is a 22% whiff. Curveball is a 58%. And the changeup is a 62. So the changeup against righties really is the biggest weapon he's got, even when it comes to in zone. Let me see right there. Changeup really plays just as well as the curveball in zone, but you can see that fastball in zone whiff is only 9%. So the way he's throwing it right now is only leading to that despite his huge induced vertical break. And we're going to dig into that in a minute. So now we're going to go over to the lefties. I think this was the craziest number I came across, is he has a 93% whiff rate on the curveball versus left-handed hitters. 93% is almost 100. So that in-zone whiff rate is 50%. When we go to that O-zone whiff rate, it's 100%. So anytime a lefty chases his curveball out of the zone, so far this season, it has been a swing and miss. That is incredible, all right? So now we're going to scroll back up to the top, and I'm going to show you something that's a little bit interesting and I find different. So usually when you have plus stuff like this, you're trying to attack guys early and often and get them to get swings so that you can work efficiently and strike out guys a little quicker. His in-zone swing rate is only 55%. That's super low. So that could be a couple things. That could either be a deception thing. That could be a location thing. There's a lot of different things that go into that. But in general, an in-zone swing percentage of 55 is really, really low, which is why I think we're seeing such huge called strike whiff percentage on all his pitches. So the CSW percentage represents how many called strikes and whiffs you get over your total pitches. So the curveball, 52% of the time he throws that pitch, it's either going to be a called strike or a whiff. This directly leads to strikeouts and why he's striking out so many hitters. All right. This is a direct correlation to strikeouts. So having that in mind is something you should really pay attention to. All right. So now we're going to go over to the next sheet in just a second. So what we're looking at right now is his in-zone performance. So what I've done is I filtered out his pitches. So it's just Mason Edwards. And we're looking at all these different stats and breaking them into these little tiny 9-box areas to see how he's doing. All right. So the first thing I wanted to show you guys is his usage. Let's start there. So when we're using our fastball against right-handed hitters, really kind of throws it everywhere, but mainly going middle, going to the gloves or arm side, so running away from guys. And then he goes glove side down. Kind of an interesting spot for a ride fastball. Doesn't go up and into righties, but really goes up and away, middle away, and then down. All right, so keep that in mind. This is important when we come back later. Versus his swing rate, you can see a ton up to the arm side, which makes sense to me. Ball starts middle, runs away. Cool. We got on the inner half of the plate, people are swinging. Not a lot of swings right here. All right. Interesting stuff. When we look at the WOBA, zeros across the board. The only time he has these represent walks. Walks, or maybe there's occasional hits that he's given up to right-handed hitters. But in the zone, the fastball has been perfect. All right. When you talk about whiffs, so his whiff rate up and arm side, this is where he gets his whiffs against right-handed hitters, going up and arm side, especially up right down the middle. So in that 3.3 to 3.9 feet up range. He also gets them down and away. Kind of interesting, but he doesn't get them in this low and inside portion, which he actually throws to a lot. Now, the reason why he probably is throwing there, we're going to scroll down, is because of that called strike whiff percentage. All right. So if we're going by this model, if we were attacking hitters solely based off your called strikes and whiffs, you're going to see he gets a ton down and away from righties, up and away, and he's very effective down low. Right here, he's getting it more than up and in. So that kind of explains maybe why he's doing this kind of attack plan of, when we look at this again, middle, away, up, and then down right here. Kind of fits exactly with that called strike swing approach, which, if we go back to that swing rate, you can see they're only swinging 25% of the time down the middle and down. So he's essentially going for these pitches not to get the swing and miss, but to get the called strike and steal a strike. Now, remember, he has 22 inches of induced vertical break. So perceptually to a lot of hitters, when he throws down in the zone, it looks like it's going to be a ball, but it lifts up and stays up in the zone. So a catcher's easily able to frame this thing and steal strikes. All right. So that's kind of his little superpower. So remember when we were talking about earlier how he has a 55% in zone swing rate? It's because he's attacking guys in spots where they don't swing. So let's take a look now at lefties. So when I think about attacking a lefty as a lefty, the way I would traditionally tell a guy is to go up and arm side go up and in, and then throw the curveball down and away. That way the pitch is tunnel. It all looks the same. It leads to a level of deception. So if you look here at his swing rate, you can see up and in, the ball looks like it's starting middle, goes up and in. This is where he gets a ton of swings. And when we look at whiffs, this up and in is where he gets a ton of whiffs as well. So it's a really efficient area for him to go throw and get whiffs. All right. But when we look at the usage, he doesn't do that. He kind of stays away from up and in and goes exclusively away. All right. So this is kind of more an old school approach that we're going away from the guy. We're going down and away 8%, up and away 8%, and up and away, which we actually saw had more carry and cut. So it actually does play pretty well. So it's going to ride and cut away from the left-handed hitter. But why would we do that? Because that wouldn't typically set up the tunnel for a curveball. So let's go back to that called strikes and whiff zone. You can see he gets a ton of called strikes and whiffs down and away, up and in, up and away. These are his better spots, but going up and in and staying in the zone hasn't really produced for him as much as going down and away. All right. So this is kind of a different non-traditional spot and might explain why he has more walks to left-handed hitters, but more strikeouts. These, if you hit these spots, you're going to get more strikeouts because they're going to take, you're going to get ahead. Cool. But it's a really aggressive plan. So if you miss these spots, you're going to end up walking guys, which when we go back, kind of explains why he has a 50% K rate, but an 18% walk rate. It's a super aggressive command plan. So if you're not good at hitting exactly this spot, or you miss a little bit out or a little too much, you might end up causing walks for yourself. All right. But when it comes to attacking batters in the zone, no one's been able to hit the fastball. The movement profile is too good. Gets a ton of whiffs up and arm side, down and away when they're forced to swing. The VAA is not elite, so maybe that's probably why they're attacking it. He's trying to steal strikes instead of bust people in the zone because he can't. So this might be a really good option for a guy with a higher release point with ride. So he's stealing strikes instead of attempting to go create swing and miss. All right. So now let's take a look at his curveball. So the curveball against left-handed hitters, remember what we talked about. We would typically want to see it down in glove side. His usage down in glove side. So they know it's coming, but they still can't hit it. That whiff rate, anything out of the zone, 100% whiff, 100% whiff. Really good. But he even throws it a little bit on the inside sometimes. But really, he's trying to go here, and he's happy to leave it up. All right. So why would we be happy to leave it up? Well, if we're going for called strikes, anything up or anything in the zone for him on this CSW percent model has led to 100% success for him. All right. So another way I've looked at it is R positive. So R positive or plus R results stands for plus results. So anything good in his favor. So either a strike swinging, foul ball, called strike, or an out. If he puts the curveball in the zone, he wins against left-handed hitters. Really simple approach when you just have to tell a guy, throw it in the zone or miss it down and glove side. We don't even need to tunnel. Nothing special here. Just go beat people in the zone. Really easy plan. All right. That's what he does so well. Now let's take a look at how he attacks with the curveball versus right-handed hitters. Now you can see there's a lot higher swing rate inside. All right. So that's because the curveball is actually starting more over the plate or up and over the plate, so that hitters are actually thinking like, okay, this might be a strike. And remember, we talked about the fastball and curveball have that 18 inches of separation. So if he's been throwing stuff over here away and then throws a curveball, well, yeah, there we go. There's 18 inches. So the fastball and the curveball tunnel right on point. Now, where's he throwing it though? It's actually throwing it away. All right. So with righties, he is actively trying to steal strikes because things that start off the plate and bend back over the plate are going to be easier for catchers to frame and steal strikes. And if you look, this is where he's most successful. Called strike swing right here. But when we look at the whiff, he's not getting a high whiff rate. So it's not that CSW percentage is generated from raw whiffs against righties on the arm side, but rather that he is stealing strikes off them. All right. So this is a different way of attacking and pitching guys, but this can explain exactly why he's got such a low in-zone swing rate, but such a high strikeout rate, is because he's able to successfully land these big pitches that start off the plate and finish in. And hitters just get themselves into a whole 0-2, 1-2, don't know what to do, and then they end up chasing with 0-2 or 1-2. And that's why he's been so effective, because then once you get a guy to get in a hole, they have to expand the zone. So when we look at that curveball now and that swing rate, yeah, he's getting guys to swing out of the zone. And that pitch plays a lot better out of the zone. So let's look at the performance stats again against righties with the curveball. When we're looking O-zone whiff, 68% right here. So 60%, 8% O-zone whiff, 0 batting average. All right, when we're O-zone. So getting a guy in the hole, being able to steal strikes, this is all part of his plan. So this is a really unique and different plan, I think, than what a lot of guys are doing. And it's leading to this great performance. So now looking at these files, these are at-bats from his outing against Rice. And we're going to look at what's going on when he walks a guy. So as we can see, we're going to go slowly. First pitch, down, ball. Or actually, first pitch, he spiked. Ball and dirt, spike. Then we've got ball right here, still riding, going down in the zone. Missed again, down. So he's trying to play that steal strike at the bottom game. Then he brings it up. That's a called strike. Gets a called strike down at the corner again. So still, batter has not swung the bat yet. He's playing ride fastballs down and away. Tries to go down again. Can't do it. Ball 4. All right. So batter did not swing. That's a 6-pitch AB without a single swing. All right. Now let's look at the strikeout. Next batter. All right. Let's back it up a bit. So now we're looking at first pitch, ton of ride, bottom of the zone, called strike. So it's now 0-1. Next pitch, curveball, kind of in the dirt. So again, that tunnel that starts up here, look at the movement profile. So we got smaller curveball. Looks like a fastball that's going to be up and in the zone, something they want, but it ends up down. Swing and miss. Strike two. Now we're 0-2. What does he do? Another curveball. Same spot. Off, out of the zone, off the plate, and down. But looks like it's going to start in the zone, dropping out. 3-pitch strikeout. Really easy. That was strikeout 1 for him on the day. All right, here was the third batter. All right, tried to elevate. Ball 1. Missed away. This is a really good job. I like this. This is a great pitch call because we went fastball up an arm side, we missed, and we used that tunnel that's starting up here to bend back a curveball and get a free called strike. Really good job of coming back into this at bat. All right, so now we're 1-1. What we do now, because we visually set the hitter to look for things up, because now we know that they could be strikes, he's able to crush a hitter up above the zone and get a swinging strike. So very nice. Tried to elevate again, let that one go. Ball 2-2. And then because we elevated, now we go curveball. They think it's going to be a strike. Strike 3. Really good pitching sequence right there. All right. Let's do one more walk, and we'll do one more strikeout. So here's another walk he had in that game. So we'll pause this really quick, see what happens. So I'm going to guess, based off the locations going away, that this was probably a left-handed hitter. So we're trying to go down again. He's trying to hit this spot, miss 1, miss 2. Now he's in a hole. 2-0. What does he do? Tries to go over here. It bends back because he has a little bit of tail. You can see this one had a little bit more run compared to the others. So good job on the catcher and bad call by the ump, but stole strike right there. We stole strike, bend it back. Very nice. 2-1. Next pitch. We had more of a cutter. So this might be the only cutter he's thrown all season. Like that's a real cutter. So we go, or actually, whoops. This is the wrong pitcher. My mistake. So I'm going to edit that out. Let's go back to, okay, here's a strikeout. Last strikeout I'm going to show. Here we tried more of that sweepier curveball. So this one you got around a little bit. Ball 1. Oops, let's go back. So ball 1, next pitch, goes to it again, gets the strike. Then he goes curveball to steal a strike. Fastball starting out, coming in. So he just went previously, pitch that starts here, bends it back. Now starts with a pitch over here, bends it back. So 2 different pitches that started off the plate on 2 different spots to steal the strike and get the out. All right. So very different style of pitching. He's not getting swings in the zone. He is not successful because he's blowing people up in the zone. He's successful because he's starting off the plate and stealing strikes. That's the key to Mason Edwards' success. And this is why it could get really dangerous really quickly if he doesn't have command. If the command is off and he can't hit these spots, it's going to lead to a lot of walks. But if the command is on, it's going to be really hard to hit because he's got a plus moving fastball and a plus moving curveball. And by the time you get one chance to swing at it, because he's probably landed 2 on you already, you got to be able to get it. So that's what makes Edwards so unique and why I'm loving how he's pitching right now and how he's doing so well this year. So for more information, follow my YouTube channel or check me out on Instagram at What's Next Baseball. And thank you so much for checking this out. See you later.